welcome back. Today we want to talk again about Jonathan Edwards' book, Charity and Its Fruits. Today we are on sermon number 13. The title of that sermon is that Grace is Never Overthrown. The text for the sermon is 1 Corinthians 13:7. It speaks about charity or love, and he focuses on the words, endureth all things. And the big idea here is that those who have true faith will never lose their salvation. So true faith is never lost. That's what we mean to focus on here in this first video. Edwards wants us to remember that, yes, it's worth talking about whether or not your faith will ever be overthrown, because we are opposed. There is opposition in our life, even as a Christian, and we will be opposed, but we'll never be overthrown. We'll be opposed by enemies from without and enemies from within. When he speaks of enemies from without, he means Satan will be tempted, or perhaps other men will tempt us, perhaps even to walk away from the faith if possible. And from within, we will have our own remaining sinful desires. We'll want to sin sometimes, and that component is still in us until we reach heaven. And so there are challenges, yet the idea remains that yes, you'll have opposition, yet your faith will remain strong. Edwards says, then the Christian, while he remains in this world, is represented as being in a state of war. His business is the business of a soldier. So the idea here is that we ought not to think, well, I'm saved and, once saved, always saved, as some people want to put it. And so I should just, rest. There's really no work for me to do. And Edwards says, well, no, it's not true that there's no work for you to do. You have to battle sin, and you have to be on guard against temptations. Temptations from without, temptations from within. You are like a soldier. And if you are not on guard against temptation, then you will lose this fight, and you will give in to sin, and you will live the way that your Savior does not mean for you to live, and so you ought to be on guard. The idea, though, is that you may, whether because you're battling or because you're not battling as much as you should, you may get quite to a low state, just spiritually. You may feel weak, not where you should be. And Edwards says about this, though it appears oftentimes as if it were almost out, there is no flame, only a little smoke. So again, maybe you had a fire for the Lord at one time, and now it seems to have nearly gone out. Yet the smoking flax shall not be quenched. And here he's referring to Matthew 12:20, and the idea then that yes, our faith can become quite small, quite a bit smaller than we ever hoped or thought it could be. And yet, if we are truly saved, the flame will never go out. We will not lose our salvation. And one of the reasons why he's so sure that our faith will not, or that will endure and it will not go out, is that true faith has a new nature. A nature that loves God and actually works toward putting away sin. So the new nature that you get when you're saved, when you're born again, is a nature that wants to battle sin. Edwards says, true grace naturally causes desires of perseverance and hungerings and thirstings after it. So you'll want to persevere, and it excites more to watchfulness and looks to God for help. So we shouldn't expect a long-term pattern of believers that just don't care anything about their faith and just let it all go to rot. Rather, that work of God in saving us and giving us a new heart makes us long to be watchful and long to put away sin and look to God for help. And that honestly is, at least the last one we're going to talk about, one of the last points that Edwards makes here. We are kept by the power of God. The reason you'll never fall away, the reason a true saint will never fall away, is that you're kept by the power of God. And here he's pointing to 1 Peter 1:5, which says we are kept by the power of God through faith. We have then what Edwards has already mentioned, a new nature, but he says the new nature is not enough. A new nature by itself is not going to keep you. God must uphold you, and he upholds you by his power. And as a matter of fact, then he goes on to quote many texts, and we won't cover them now, but many texts in which God promises that our faith will never be overthrown, that we will remain faithful unto the end. He began a good work. He will bring it to completion at the day of Christ. And so we can be rest assured, and again, our Our resting, though, is because God has begun a good work and God will complete it. So we don't have to worry about our faith. If we have true faith, we don't have to worry about our faith being overthrown.